Apple juice has long been one of the most popular fruit beverages in the world. Its mild sweetness, refreshing taste, and high nutritional value make it a favorite among people of all ages. In the United States alone, people consume more than 300 million gallons of apple juice each year. To meet this enormous demand, about 1.5 million tons of apples are used in the production process. But here's something interesting. When you press apples at home, the juice is usually cloudy and slightly darker in color. Meanwhile, the apple juice sold in supermarkets is crystal clear. In this video, we will follow the journey of apples, from the moment they are harvested to the point when they become clear bottles of apple juice ready to appear on supermarket shelves. The journey of apple juice begins in vast apple orchards during the harvest season, which typically lasts from September to November. During this period, nearly 90% of the year's apple juice production takes place. To supply the juice industry, many different apple varieties are used, but Macintosh is one of the most common thanks to its aromatic flavor and high juice content. Apples used for juicing may be picked directly from the trees or collected from fruit that has fallen to the ground, as long as the apples are still fresh and not damaged. Most apples intended for fresh consumption are still harvested by hand to prevent bruising. However, in large-scale production, many farms use mechanical tree shakers. In a single shake, about 60 kilograms of apples can drop. The apples are then gathered, placed onto a conveyor belt, and loaded onto trucks to be transported to processing plants. Thanks to mechanization, a single harvesting machine can handle up to 100 tons of apples per day. These apples actually contain a large amount of water. On average, about 85% of an apple's weight is water, along with 10 to 12% carbohydrates, mostly natural sugars, about 1% pectin, and various phenolic compounds that are beneficial to health. However, freshly pressed apple juice is usually cloudy. This is because the juice still contains many natural components, such as pectin, starch, proteins, and extremely fine suspended solids. In addition, the ripeness of the apples directly affects the quality of the juice. Unripe apples typically contain less sugar and less water, which results in juice that tastes more sour and less flavorful. After being harvested, the apples are quickly transported to processing plants. During peak season, trucks loaded with apples continuously move in and out of the facility, averaging about 4 deliveries per hour. As soon as they arrive, the apples are taken to the receiving area for quality inspection. Here, each batch of apples undergoes a strict inspection process to ensure they are suitable for juice production. Apples that are too small, bruised, misshapen, or have damaged surfaces are removed right from the start. In modern processing plants, most of this work is carried out by automated sorting systems. The apples move along conveyor belts through scanners and sensors, where they are examined for size, color, ripeness, and surface defects. In particular, moldy apples must be completely removed. This is because mold growing on apples can produce patulin, a toxin that is harmful to human health. After passing the quality inspection stage, the apples that meet the standards are transferred to the washing and cleaning area. Here, the apples enter a large-scale automated washing system. They flow with the water through several circulating wash tanks, while high-speed rotating brushes gently scrub the surface of the peel. Over the course of about 30 to 45 minutes, the apples are continuously stirred and cleaned to remove dirt, pesticide residues, and bacteria clinging to the skin. The wash water in the system is often supplemented with a small amount of vinegar or a mild acidic solution to improve disinfection effectiveness. At the same time, the pH level of the water is maintained below about 4.5 to help limit bacterial growth. After being thoroughly washed, the apples continue along a conveyor equipped with soft brushes, where any remaining water on the surface is wiped away. Finally, powerful air fans blow dry the apples completely, ensuring that no droplets remain before they move on to the next step. After being cleaned and dried, the apples are transported to an industrial grinding system. Here, the apples are crushed into a pulpy mixture, similar to applesauce, commonly referred to as apple mash or apple pulp. At this stage, the flesh, skin, and seeds are all ground together. Is then held for about 60 to 90 minutes, allowing the next pressing stage to achieve a higher extraction yield. Once the holding process is complete, the apple mash is pumped into large hydraulic presses. An industrial pressing system can process about 9 tons of apples per pressing cycle. Under extremely high pressure, the apple juice is squeezed out and passes through 288 layers of filter cloth, while solid materials such as skins, seeds, and stems are retained behind. The remaining apple pomace still contains some liquid, so it is further pressed using roller presses to recover as much juice as possible. Thanks to this process, the extraction yield typically reaches about 60 to 70% juice relative to the original weight of the apples. As a result, nearly all the liquid inside the apples has been extracted. However, the juice obtained at this stage is still quite cloudy. It still contains many tiny suspended particles, air bubbles, and natural compounds such as pectin, the starch, and proteins floating in the solution. So how do manufacturers remove these impurities and turn cloudy juice into clear apple juice? The answer lies in the clarification and filtration process, the next step in the production line. First, the apple juice passes through a high-speed centrifuge system, which separates the remaining apple pulp from the liquid. This pulp is not wasted. It is often reused to produce apple jam or other food products. However, even after the pulp is removed, the juice is still not completely clear. The main reason is pectin, a natural compound in apples that helps keep small particles suspended in the liquid. To solve this problem, the factory adds the enzyme pectinase, which breaks down the structure of pectin and allows the remaining solids to be removed more easily during the next filtration step. Next, the apple juice is pasteurized using heat, typically held at about 85 degrees Celsius for around 5 minutes, to destroy harmful microorganisms. This process helps ensure food safety while preserving the natural flavor of the juice. Immediately after pasteurization, the juice is cooled to about 50 degrees Celsius before entering the fine filtration stage. At this stage, the apple juice passes through an advanced membrane filtration system with the total length of filtration pipelines reaching up to 3 kilometers. Technologies such as microfiltration and ultrafiltration are commonly used to remove nearly all remaining proteins, starch, and suspended solids. These filtration membranes operate continuously and are replaced regularly to maintain optimal performance. After this process, the apple juice becomes almost perfectly clear. At this point, the juice has been thoroughly purified. It is then transferred into massive chilled storage tanks, each capable of holding about 29,000 gallons. Here, the apple juice is kept at low temperatures to preserve its quality before entering the bottling stage. Notably, throughout this entire process, no preservatives are required, since the product has already been strictly processed and controlled for microbial safety. Now, the apple juice is pumped from the chilled storage tanks into the automated packaging system. Before filling begins, the bottles and cartons must be completely sterilized to ensure that no microorganisms enter the product. In many modern factories, plastic or glass bottles are washed and sterilized with a hydrogen peroxide solution inside sterile clean rooms. They are then rinsed with sterile water before being transferred to the filling line. Once everything is ready, the apple juice is automatically filled into bottles at very high speeds. A bottling line can process about 150 bottles per minute, while a carton filling machine can reach 120 cartons per minute. Immediately after being filled, the bottles and cartons are sealed and labeled completely automatically before moving on to the boxing and shipping stage. On an industrial scale, an apple juice production plant can process between 60,000 and 100,000 tons of apples per year, producing millions of liters of juice for the market. Thanks to pasteurization and sterile packaging, bottled apple juice can typically be stored for 6 to 12 months, as long as the seal remains intact. From fresh apples in the orchard, apple juice ultimately becomes the clear bottles we are familiar with on supermarket shelves. Behind every bottle of apple juice is a modern production process that is strictly controlled to ensure quality and safety for consumers. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe to explore many more fascinating production processes. Thank you for watching.